It's time to get inside the Giants huddle.
Huddle up.
On Giants.com.
Here we go.
And the Giants mobile
Get
app.
them in there, let's go.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle Podcast. It's all brought to you by PSEG, energy efficiency for game time and anytime. Visit PSEG.com/Giants for discounts, rebates, and home energy assessments. A little bit of a different show today since this game doesn't really impact the Giants in terms of playoff position. It's not really going to be much of a game preview at all. It's really just a player interview and coach interview show. So we're glad you're with us. I decided to do two guys that I thought have really interesting stories this week. Darius Slayton and Landon Collins. Two players that, well, one that wasn't on this roster at the start of the year and was added later in Landon Collins. Another player that really was on the verge of being cut and not being on this roster at all. Yet both guys have emerged as being very important players on this team as they move ahead and look forward to the playoffs. We'll also, of course, have our interview with the head coach of the Giants, Brian Daboll. If you're looking for more of a game thing, matchup thing, go check out our previous Giants Huddle podcast. It's the one before this on your feed. Sal Paolantonio joined Lance Paul and myself. It was a really fun four-way conversation. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. It was not just the matchup, though. We did stuff on the Giants, big picture. Sal obviously covers the league as much as he does just the Philadelphia Eagles. We did some NFC playoff picture stuff. It was a really, really fun conversation, so I suggest you go back, listen to that 20, 25-minute interview with Sal Paolantonio from ESPN on the Giants Little podcast feed. And again, just a reminder, I know we still have some games left to play, hopefully a lot more games to play, but the offseason is coming, and no one covers the draft, and I don't want to sound cocky, but nobody covers the draft as well as we do here. And our draft coverage has started. It's been going on all year. Go subscribe to the Draft Season Podcast. It's on your favorite podcast platform, Giants.com, the Giants app, along with all other podcasts, including Big Blue Kickoff Live. Draft season, Tony, Pauline, and I have been breaking down the bowl games, prospects, early declarations. We'll get into the Senior Bowl. We'll get into the Shrine Game. Then, of course, you get the Combine, all that good stuff. But we're really digging into college players so we can hit the ground with our feet moving when we get to the offseason, which, again, hopefully won't be for another month or so as the Giants head into the playoffs. All right, everybody, let's get to it. We're going to lead off with my interview with Giants safety, linebacker, defensive player, Landon Collins, and that's where we start. And now we're joined by Giants defensive player Landon Collins. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start there, Landon. What position do you play?
How they use me is kind of everywhere, honestly. And then with the packages, you could be anywhere on the field. So I just call myself a hybrid. That's all I can say. Hybrid for this team. Also known as a linebacker, can definitely play defensive back. So anywhere, honestly. Is
that fun? You know, because you were always a guy when you're here. You were a safety. That was your position, mm-hmm. right? Have you embraced this role as a hybrid?
Yeah, I embraced this role. I mean, with every defensive coordinator I've had, they've kind of used me all over the field. So I kind of know techniques and know kind of schemes all from all different positions and know how to work it. So it's a lot of things in my back pocket that I have in my repertoire.
Did you expect this when you decided to come here and you talked to Wink? You know, he always describes his defense almost like a basketball team, positionless, right? Mm-hmm. He uses guys in roles, not in position. So did you know this is what you were getting into when you stepped foot here?
Yes, that's exactly what they explained to me. I mean, they came in here talking about the diamond Mike position at first, and then just giving them security and giving them that backbone that I know that I can do, that I can play, and I can work with this team. Gave them that security just to put me all over the field.
Yeah, you know, you talked about how your past experience playing deep safety, playing box safety has prepared you for all this, but how much of it is different for you, the way they use you in this particular system, in this role?
Not much, because it's just where you're located, wherever you're located on the field, you have a specific job, and it's as simple as that. You have it's complicated to other teams, but it's simple to us.
Yeah, I was about to follow up with that exact question. Mm-hmm. Explain what that means.
Not to get into detail.
No, of course. I don't want you to give away state secrets now.
It's just everybody can play a position and be somebody else.
So let me see if I can paraphrase this. Mm-hmm. You guys on a specific play know what your specific role is.
Correct.
And that's simple. You know, this is my job. All right, my job is outside contain. My job is inside leverage on this receiver.
Correct.
That's simple.
Correct.
But based on what you show to the offense and where you are, they don't know who's got what's role.
Yeah, basically.
Does that sum it up well?
That sums it up very perfectly.
Is that why this defense works so well and why it's so effective?
Yes, because we're confusing the offensive coordinator, and we also confusing the line of scrimmage, and we also confusing the quarterback. So you confuse 3 people at one time, and they don't have an answer to different schemes, different packages, different body movements and body parts that is moving all over the field. It makes a team go like, we have to figure this out now, And then if they think they got a beat on us, now we're just gonna throw another curveball. So,
and you can play fast, right?
Yes.
Because it's simple for you guys.
Very simple for us.
Is there I guess this is another way to look at it. Is there enough in the bag, though, to continue showing enough things to you guys play 18 games this year, at least, right? Maybe more.
Yep.
To show enough different stuff for 18 games to keep teams on their toes?
Honestly, we still have a ton left in the bag we haven't even presented yet. So I'm excited for what we have. I don't know how much we're going to showcase this week, but yes, we have a lot. We have a lot left to go.
Now, a guy like Tony Jefferson, who was a long-time successful safety, much like you.
That's my dog.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you. How well did you know him before you got here, and how much did he help you figure out exactly how Wink was going to try to use you, given his history with Wink?
Oh, man, I've been knowing Tony for the last, 6 years when he was playing for Baltimore. We trained together a little bit, then we just kept up with each other and we'll be in different areas and stuff like that. And then from there, when I got here, we meshed. We already meshed because we already knew each other. So we knew how each other played. I was a big fan of his, and he's a big fan of mine. And we play the same similar kind of down. We are bangers, bangers, and we don't like to be in the box. We like to be close to the line of scrimmage, blitz, and we trying to make plays. So that's our detail of us. And when we step on the field, we mesh because we could play off each other. We know I know what he kind of simply likes to do, and he knows what I kind of simply like to do. So it meshes. And then with the defense, he's like, hey, Wink know how to use you. And I was just trying to be like, how do you know that? But after knowing him from being with Wink for so many years, I'm like, he knows something in his head. And then now we here.
You have fun watching the young safeties, Julian Love, Xavier McKinney, play their trade back there? I
am happy and glad to be a part of with those guys. These guys are smart. They're exciting. They're playing great ball. They're determined to be the best, not determined just to be a giant safety. They're determined to be the best on the field and across the league. So I love that.
Take us through the interception last week.
Ooh.
What you see on the play? Old school Landon coming out there, jumping the route.
Old school.
I'm sorry.
But honestly, we saw that play most 6 times last week practicing it. And honestly, I was not supposed to be to that side. Z was supposed to be over there because it was formation into the boundary. The nickel was supposed to be to that side. I was supposed to be to the field. Mm-hmm. But because they was going hurry up, I just told them to stay. Mm-hmm. We have the same job. Like I said, we could line up anywhere and we have similar jobs, the same jobs, so it could be different jobs. And that information just told me like he's about to run it out. He's just about to run it out, and I had to kind of play it back because they ran a high low. Basically, he was a low guy.
Yeah, but if I remember right, they had trips on that side, right? And your guy was the guy lined up behind the 2 guys in front, so they were going to try to screen him a little bit and get him on the out, correct?
Yep. So had to play baited a little bit, and I had to get over the top really fast because I had to be on the outside guy. I had to get to the outside guy, and he was the outside guy. And then I just saw Foles throw it and just went for it and took it to the house.
How much was that fresh legs of not having a full 18 games under your belt? Because you were flying, man. You were running as fast as I've seen you run.
Honestly, man, that's not even my fastest. I'm usually a 2021. I had a thigh bruise. So
really?
That's not even like when they say 19.7. I was like, dang, I'm supposed to hit 20, but I just know I had.
Is that what it was on the GPS?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Very good. It's exciting, man. It's great to see it. And now, your role's kind of growing now. Do you, as you played in this defense more, have you become more comfortable? Are you more, maybe willing's the wrong word, but more able to make those type of instinctual plays, which we've known you so well for over the course of your career? You've made so many of them when you're here with the Giants, obviously when you were in Washington. Now that you've been in this defense more, where you can just be yourself. You know what I mean?
Honestly, when I came in here, they said the best thing I have a part of what I bring to the team is my instincts, and they say they don't want to take that away from me. And when you know a guy has that, and you allow him just to use that,
you gotta trust him.
You have to trust him, and that they gave me that trust once I came through the door. So when I felt that trust, I was like, all right, let me just do my thing now, and then give him the trust factor to make it solidify, make it like sign on the dotted line, like, yeah, we got a guy, and that was it.
That's terrific. Now, you got here, you got elevated a couple times. Then you had a few weeks, a month where you weren't getting elevated.
Yep.
Were you sitting there at any one point and saying, oh, boy, maybe I made a mistake here. I'm not playing as much as I want. Did you have any doubts that this was going to work out as well as you hoped when you decided to come here?
I thought it'd be faster. That's one. I thought it'd be faster. When I first got here, I think I played I took a week, and then I played the following week. So, and I played the following 2 games. But I thought it'd be faster. But the coaches was very transparent. We had a lot of injuries during those few weeks, so I knew they had to bring guys up and bring guys down. We needed guys to play here and play there, so I just had to be patient. And then, some frustration set in because I knew I can help, and definitely help us win some more of these games. But I just sat back, be patient, let guy handle the rest, and then
now you're rolling.
Now we're rolling, yeah. Now we're rolling.
You talk about the coaches being transparent. One thing that I think most of the players have expressed to me and a lot of other people is that, they're not kept in the dark by this coaching staff. These coaches will tell you how it is. Wink is not a, shy guy, right?
Correct.
And I think though that goes down to the position coaches, they want to be very clear and transparent to the players so you guys know what's going on. Have you gotten that sense from this coaching staff being here? And explain to fans why that's so important.
It's very important because key guys, our key players, is just in general just need to know where they stand on their team. If they have, even if a team have a vision for this guy. And when you tell a player, like, basically when I came in, LC, we need you to blitz these routes. Like, you're not the primary blitzer. We trying to get this guy open to make this play. And then I was like, oh, okay, because I'm usually was the primary blitzer, or I can use my techniques or my skills or my ability to get around and do something. But no, sometimes I have to be the crash dummy. So with them saying so. That being said, is them saying you have to be a team player, role player at this particular moment, at this particular time, because your time is going to come. But it's this person's time. Let this man shine, and that's what we do as a team and as a whole. And just breaking those moments down, and having that honesty talk, it helps us play even faster, and it makes us even play more for that coach and the team. So.
And I got to imagine it builds trust too, right?
Yes.
Because trust, I got to imagine, I've obviously never been in the uniform or done this, but I got to imagine, especially when things don't go well, and everyone has down moments when things aren't going right, that's when trust in the coaches, between the coaches and the players, has got to be most important, right?
Most definitely. We have to believe, trust, and just stay accountable with what we are being asked to do, what we are trusting them to believe in us, and just stand together because, like we say, we are a family, and what happens between these doors have to stay between these doors. What happens on the field is really us. Nobody else. Nobody's handing anything to us. Nobody's going to help us. We have to do it, and we have to just stay true to our word and what we have to do.
And now you're going to the postseason, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time for the Giants. 2016, something you're very familiar with,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
I know I'm trying to remember what the team's record is when you signed here. Do you remember what they were?
Oh, there was definitely
3-1, 4-1, something like that. I'm trying to remember.
I want to say 4-1.
4-1 maybe.
I want to say 4-1.
So you knew this was possible, but could this have worked out any better given where this team is right now? I mean, if I would have told you then, week 17, you don't even need to win, and you're already locked up. I mean, I got to imagine this is exactly why you wanted to come back and try and do this in New York, especially.
Definitely. I think if we didn't have the injuries we had, we would have had a way better record. But that's past tense. But yeah. I knew this team had it. Like when I first came into here, like when I first stepped into London, when I flew to London, I could just see the togetherness, the camaraderie, the family. It reminded me so much of 2016 and how we was always together, always doing stuff, always going to dinner together, always hitting the movies or anything. We was a team, we was a brotherhood. So I was like, dang, I said, I miss this. I missed this. It's been a minute since I had this on the team and stuff like that. So it's hard to build that everywhere because you have so many different personalities on the team. So to get guys just to buy in and accept it, like it takes this to be where we want to be at the end of the season. Oh man, it's a blessing.
I know, when you left here, when business gets involved, things get complicated. It happens. What can you do? But to be able to come back now and come back to New York and now just everything be so positive. I got to imagine that puts a nice circle, right? On kind of, I don't want to say your career because you have a lot left, but exactly. But just to, it almost comes full circle, but in the best possible way, right?
Heck yeah. I was like coming back and just being able to do what I do for the Giants and showing that I'm still that caliber player, and then also just doing it for this team and getting the trust of this team because, I was an outsider. They didn't know who I was. They heard, you could hear a whoop blah from the other teams or other coaches, and they could say I'm this kind of guy, but came in here as myself, and they took me in and then just brought me as a brother, and it was the sky was the limit from there.
Was that the main reason you decided to pick New York to come back? I'm sure there are other teams knocking on your door too. Is like what was the main reason that you said New York is the place I want to be?
Dang, that's a good question. Honestly, I knew New York. I knew it was always home to me. And when they literally called and they asked, like I said, it was transparent from the jump. So they told me this is what we need from you or what we want from you. And then I was like, bet, let me come up there and do my thing. And that was it.
Nice and simple. All right, let's talk about the matchup coming up. First things first, is your team playing its best football now? I'm not saying you can't play better, but are you guys really, you think, hitting your stride, playing as good as you have all year coming off these last two games?
We are definitely continually to grow and get better each and every week. Best game, I say we still have a lot to. I'm not saying we have a lot to go. We still have.
There's room to be better.
Yes, there's so much room to be better. Like we are good. There's so much room to be great now. And it's not a big marker. It's just a little. It's like little details. They'll find details, and we're gonna be perfect.
All right, let's talk about the matchup here. How much is it in all of the back of your heads? And we don't know what Brian Daboll is going to decide in terms of resting guys. We'll find out at the end of the week. Do you guys have a little splinter in your finger, a little back of your neck that this team kind of took it to you a little bit a month ago, and you want to, show them that you're a better team than what you showed in that game?
We definitely do. We have that chip on our shoulder. They're definitely divisional rivals are always in our division. So we have something to prove because they came in our house and try to make an example out of us. So I think it's time to replay the favor.
Yeah, you're going to go down there, and surprisingly, I think based on what we saw a month ago, they're the team that now desperately needs this game to keep the one seed right. It matters a lot to them. Jalen Hurts has been out. He's coming back. When you look at the Hurts situation, you see a guy that has a bad shoulder, and it's his throwing shoulder, and he's also a running quarterback, right? And he's a running quarterback that doesn't run like a quarterback. That dude runs like a running back,
yes,
right? And
he's
built like a running back.
B-side five, roll tide.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how you guys approach Hurts in this game, knowing he's coming back from the injury, how that might change how they use him even for all I know.
I think that's a great guy, great quarterback. He's accomplished a lot for sure. I think they protect him. The running, I think not too much running. If anything, if he has to run, is the last option.
And slide.
Yeah, get down. Do not take no hits because they need it for the postseason. That's most important right now for them in this game. And then they have different packages to like take those runs off his legs or take them runs off his shoulder and have some passes within those run schemes that he has. So yeah, I think that's what we're mindset wise because I mean, you don't want to take a hit on that shoulder. That AC joint is something nasty.
All right, couple more questions real quick. Hurts was a big part of their running game against you guys in December, but they still did a lot of traditional runs against you. Miles Sanders had his most yards he's had in 80 games this year. What do you guys need to do better to slow down that running game this week?
We just got to do our job, honestly. Do our job, come out there with the right mindset to be able to play fast, and have fun. That's it. Just have fun. That's what we do. We play a child's game at a King's Ransom.
That's a great line. I like that.
Go have fun. Let's do our thing and just ball out. That's what we telling him to do.
All right, finally, Dallas Goedert's back, right? He wasn't playing in that game in the first game.
Him. Yeah.
Good player.
Yes, sir.
You've played him a lot, being in the NFC East all these years. And then they have their two wide receivers, right? They're such good players, but they're so different too, right? The way they play and the way they succeed. So what's the challenge of having three very different types of players, but they all can be weapons that can really kill you?
Studying. study habits for us on the defensive end, knowing what they like to do, knowing how they like to use them, where they like to be in line. I'm a big formation guy, so when I see these guys in certain positions, it kind of tells you kind of keys, and I'm a big communicator. So when I see something, I'm definitely letting the back end know what might be possibly about to happen or what's going on. So having guys on the field knowing what's going on and paying attention to the fine details, those little details I was talking about earlier, takes us to the next level to help us win this game.
Finally, do you have a message for Giant fans, a group of people that you're very familiar with? And they were loud last week. They did a great job heading into the postseason, and just kind of the message that you and your team would kind of like to send them about anything you might want to say.
Honestly, you guys, Giants fans, Giants Nation, we love y'all. Keep supporting us. We need y'all. For this run because it's going to be big. And just keep going. Keep yelling. Keep being loud. Make this playoff run. Y'all, hey, we need y'all. So if y'all going to be in Philly, need y'all loud and proud.
And be safe down there, too.
Definitely be safe. Be safe.
That could be a raucous crowd. Landon, this has been too long. This is a lot of fun. Appreciate the time, dude.
No doubt.
The Giants' official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. We thank Landon Collins. Guys, I was the only one planning to go 8 minutes with him. I got to be honest with you. He was just so happy to just talk about the year and where it's taken him and all that stuff. And, you know, Landon and I knew each other well when he was here the first time. We haven't had much of a chance to catch up since he came back. And it's just a lot of fun. Like, I had a great time talking to him. I thought it was a really good conversation. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it. All right, since we have two players, I figure I'm going to split them up today. We'll put Brian Daboll in the middle. Bob Papa every week has a chance to sit down and talk with the Giants head coach, Brian Daboll. Let's listen into that conversation right now.
The Giants wrap up the regular season against the Philadelphia Eagles. As always, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Coach Brian Daboll. And Coach, the first thing that we have to do is just talk about some of the news this week, and with you and a lot of other people on your staff, Joe Shane being coming from the Buffalo Bills organization. Can you just talk about that feeling that you got and everybody got in the building on Thursday when news started to come out about Damar Hamlin being awake, squeezing loved one's hands, and even writing on a piece of paper, did we win the game?
Yeah.
It got me so fired up.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's a range of emotions with what happened last week up till where he is right now. And, you know, the excitement, the relief, the joy that, you know, prayers are being answered, and, you know, it's looking like he's improving. And, you know, that young man's a great young man, the people in that building, and you just, you know, it was a tragic incident, but the news that you get on Thursday, it energizes you, man.
Coach, obviously, you know, sure, it was Cincinnati and obviously Buffalo playing in the game. There's 32 teams in the National Football League. There's football players on every team. Just talk about the challenges that you had and the organization had this week with the team as you're trying to get ready for a game, dealing with something much bigger than just a game.
Yeah, it's. I think you just want to let the players know that as an organization, as a staff, whether that's coaching, whether that's medical, whether that's team psychologist, team chaplains, that we're all here for them. You know, this is a relationship business, and you know, our game is followed and supported through, you know, the entire world. And, you know, these players are special people, and they're people first. And when something like that happens, I think it sends shockwaves through the entire, you know, country. And, you know, what we are charged with is, you know, making sure that we let them know that, you know, anything that they need that can help them in any facet of our organization, that we're here for them. And that's really the most important thing that we can do.
Coach, obviously you got a game today with Philadelphia needing this win to wrap up the number seed. It's a division rival. You know, they jumped on you at MetLife Stadium a couple of weeks ago. When you look at them and you prepare for them in this football game, they were able to run the football. Just talk a little bit about the challenge of trying to control their run game?
Yeah, we didn't do a very good job of it in our last game. They had, upwards of 250 plus over an 8-yard average. They controlled the line of scrimmage. The running backs were issues, quarterback. It wasn't. They controlled the game from the get-go. It was 24-7 at half. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone, and they were 6 of 11 on third down. So, and we didn't get any turnovers. So, and then offensively, we didn't score enough. We were 3 of 4 in the red zone, but we were 4 of 13 on third down. So we didn't, maintain possession and keep our drives going. 9 out of those 13 times, we went for it on a couple fourth downs, but the game got out ahead of us, and they really beat us in every area, whether it was offense, defense, or the kicking game.
Coach, a lot of people have talked this week about, hey, we know that we're playing next week. The challenges that you face as far as managing this game, I try to remind people that, you have 46 on the active, you have 2 practice squad call-ups, that leaves 48. But then you have a long snapper, a backup quarterback, a punter, a kicker, so you take 4 away there. Your core starting group is at least 14 to 15 on each side of the ball. It's not college football where you got 100 dressed and you can just sub out everybody. People have to play in the game. Is that a difficult thing to try to manage?
I think that, you tell everybody to be ready to go. You have the same or relatively the same amount of inactives each week based on what you want to do, bringing up people from the practice squad. And whoever is active has to be ready to go.
Would it be sweet to knock them out of the number 1 seed?
Well, it'd just be good to get another win. I think that's where our focus is, and each person has a job to do all the way through, and that's what we focus on each week, is to go out there and play our best on Sundays.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes. I know this has been, obviously, for you and the entire National Football League, a very difficult week trying to get ready to prepare to play a game with real life staring all of us in the face. But we appreciate your time and generosity throughout the course of the regular season. And what the good news is, we get to say? We get to do it again next week.
Yeah, we're guaranteed at least one more. So, I appreciate you guys. And, I had another tragic news yesterday, and trying to monitor this, and a player that I coached, Peyton Hillis, saved his children from drowning and had some complications. So the prayers would be great for him as well.
Yes, Peyton Hillis, who wore a Giants uniform and played very well for the New York Giants, a really good guy. Our prayers are with Peyton and his family. Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes as always.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Hey, folks, don't forget to listen to Big Blue Kickoff Live every weekday, 12:30 to 1:30 on Giants.com, the Giants mobile app. Then, of course, the archives on the Giants app and podcast platforms everywhere. Just search and subscribe to Big Blue Kickoff Live. We'll cover everything with the playoffs. We'll review the game next week with the Eagles. And, of course, look ahead to that big playoff game, which is likely going to be against the Minnesota Vikings. All right, we thank Brian Daboll for joining us. Let's wrap it up with the Giants' big play wide receiver this year. That's Darius Slayton. I enjoyed my talk with him. Now we're joined by Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton. Darius, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Let's talk about the offense for a second. Is this offense right now clicking as well as it has all year, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say we're playing good ball right now. I think most importantly, we're playing complementary football. And our defense gets a good stop, gets a good field position. We've been going down, getting points, been efficient, been able to stay away from turnovers, so those types of things help.
And I feel like it's been balanced too, right? Like other times this year, some weeks you ran the ball out, you had trouble passing it. Some weeks you passed it well and you could have run it, right? But I feel like now both parts of your offense, and even Daniel's part of the run game too, right? Mm-hmm. Everything seems to really be complementing each other pretty well.
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, every part of offense helps other parts. It all works together. The run helps the pass helps the run, and obviously, DJ running in the run game helps our run game tremendously, giving another element, So I think all those things have came together well for us.
And has it helped the receivers too? Because when he's able to scramble for these, I think he ran for six first downs, then he had the 2 touchdown runs too on scrambles on third downs. Does that impact you guys at all? Where now defenses maybe can't play as much man to man, they can't turn their backs, right? They have to spy them. Does that help you guys too?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if at some point, they can't keep letting them run and pick up first downs and score touchdowns, at some point. So most teams' way of doing that is using a spy, and if they're spying him, then that means that's one less guy to coverage, one less guy we got to beat. So, it all works hand in hand, and he's obviously playing good ball right now, and it's been good for us.
How much has it helped your wide receiver group that after a carousel of players in and out of the lineup at your position, different guys starting every week, it took a few weeks for you to really solidify yourself in there, and then everything around you was changing too because of injury. Has it helped a lot having you, Richie, Isaiah as the primary 3 now for a good portion of a month to kind of get into that rhythm together?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's all new, new coaching staff, new system. So I think we all had to adapt to it, come into our own, find our way in it. But, definitely having that continuity, I know for sure for DJ, everybody plays a little different. Even if you exchange 2 great players, they have different tendencies. They like different things. They play different. So, obviously having that continuity of us 3 been pretty solid over these past few weeks, and, hopefully be able to keep that going.
We talked after a game, it was either last week or the week before, and you were talking about how, some games it's not a Darius game, and it's an Isaiah game. Can you just talk about the camaraderie and the unselfishness of your group and the team in general, where you're okay if it's not a Darius game, if he throws it to Isaiah because he's open, that's cool? Yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's playing receiver is always tough, because realistically, even if you're a heavily targeted guy, you get 10 to 12 targets in a game, heavily targeted, and there's anywhere from 60 to 80 plays in a game. So even if you were heavily targeted, most of the time you're not running and getting the ball. So obviously when it's only 2 or 3 times a game is, it's tough. But at the same time, I've always took the stance of how could I complain we win in a game? How can I complain and we're moving the ball and we're getting first downs? You know what I'm saying? It's like, obviously, I'd love to get the first down selfishly. But if we're moving the ball, we're scoring, the Giants are winning, it's all okay.
After you had your little run in the middle of the season where you started catching those balls over the top, right? First series, with Jacksonville or Seattle, you had the deep one right down the sideline. I'm trying to remember which game it was. Jacksonville, thank you. Did you start seeing teams starting to shift that safety over the top on your side a little bit more?
Yeah, that or typically cornerbacks up a little bit. I probably don't look as fast as I am on film all the time, but typically after I get behind them once or twice, then they back up a little bit.
So you have seen an adjustment in some of the coverages you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. Mostly not from their whole defense as a whole, but definitely like in individual corner matchups, they tend to back up, or if they do press, they're not as hard in the press.
But pushing the ball down the field too, right? Like that's got to help the running game too, right? If that threat's there and they have to be aware of it, because early in the year, you guys are having trouble getting those 20-plus yard in the air chunk plays, but they've come now. Do you think that's one of the reasons the last couple games Saquon's been able to have another 80-plus yard game, 4.5 yards per carry?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, when teams want to try to stop the run, they try to get as many people in the box as possible.
Numbers game.
Exactly. And, one of the ways that most teams get to that in some form or fashion is bringing a safety down. And obviously you can't do that if you're exposed on the outside and one-on-ones and getting beat over the top. So, like I said, it all works hand in hand, and right now we're doing a good job of making it work.
I thought the passing game against the Vikings was probably the best I've seen it all year. Why did it work so well? Was it a matchup? Was it how you game planned against them? Was it just the receivers winning? Why did you guys move the ball so well you did against Minnesota a couple weeks ago through the air?
Yeah, I think we had a good game plan. Obviously, Kafka and them came up with a good plan. I think we had a good scheme, and then on top of that, he's very timely with the calls he made. It was in good situations against good looks, and then obviously, at the end of the day, no matter how good or bad a play call is, we got to make it go. So, we were getting open, we were making plays on the ball, and that's what we're supposed to do. So, I think as long as we continue to do that, we'll have a chance.
Let's talk about you. You had to make some tough decisions at the start of the year, right? Around cut time, and you decided to stay. You could have decided to leave. Now that you look back at it, is this what you envisioned? Is this why you stayed the way this season has gone?
I mean, it's hard to say that because to think that I would have, end up leading the team in receiving or something at the time would have seemed insane and impossible, But, I mean, I definitely saw opportunity. I knew my opportunity would come in one way, shape, or form. And I know myself, and I know I'm always going to be ready when it does come. So, that was, the main reason I stayed. And then, DJ, I got a lot of faith in him. I believe he's a heck of a quarterback. And we've played together for a long time now. And you see guys, veteran guys, sometimes leave a team in free agency and they go somewhere else. And they're like, oh, this guy was so awesome on this team, but why wasn't he as good on this team? Well, you never know. Somebody might be a great quarterback, but you might get over there and you and him might not see the field the same. Y'all might not see the game the same, and y'all don't click the same. But, I believe in the connection we have, and I think obviously it showed this year.
And what was part of it also kind of, did you see the togetherness of this team even then? Because players, everyone I've brought in here has talked to me about how going back to the spring, the way the coaches have dealt with you guys, very transparent, very straightforward, letting you know exactly how it is, and just the way you guys all hang out together. It's just a really good environment. Was that another part of the equation in your decision to stick?
For sure, because you hear guys come from other organizations and it's cliquey, or the receivers hang with receivers, the O-line. Like I could, matter of fact, Christmas time, I went to the mall. It was me and Ben Bredesen went to the mall together because we both had to do some Christmas shopping. He was finna leave. And he's like, I'm going to the mall. And I was like, shoot, you mind if I go with you? Like, I don't awesome. Like shopping by myself. I don't like shopping at all. So I was like, at least if I shop with a buddy, like, it'll be better. But, I think that just shows, too. He's like, yeah, man, come on. And, you would never think that a guard and a receiver would just be, doing something like that. But I think not just us, but it speaks to the whole team and the relationship everybody got.
All right. And I guess let's talk about the matchup then. How do you view this matchup? You guys are locked into the 6th spot. You don't, quote unquote, need the win. Yeah. But this team also walked into your building a month ago and took it to you guys pretty good. Mm-hmm. So how do you view this game heading into it? I
definitely don't see it as like giving them a pass, so to speak, as us just going out there and getting through the game and whatever. I believe whoever's out there, myself, anybody that's out there, I believe they should be doing their best to win the game and try to win in their field just like they came and won on our field, So obviously I don't make the decisions of how all the logistical things work.
Of course.
But as from my standpoint, I don't never go out on a field or go into any game and just just lose. If I'm gonna go out there to win.
How about their defense, just real quick? Their secondary, a lot of talented guys. They've second in the league in takeaways, I think, right behind Dallas. Slay and Bradbury are good players. You're very familiar with James Bradbury, obviously. Your thoughts on their secondary and their cornerbacks and why they're such a challenge?
Yeah, I think they're good players, but on top of that, they're veteran players, so they're smart. They play the game within the game, splits, formation recognition, those type of things they do a good job with, on top of the fact that they have a good defensive line who doesn't give you a whole lot of time to make good decisions, so
that's true.
So it kind of works hand in hand. They got a lot of good players, but obviously look forward to the matchup.
I'm going to go back to that first game. I'm not going to make you say it. I'll say it. You guys got behind that secondary a few times, and if it wasn't for their pass rush, you would have had some big plays.
Yeah, that's just kind of the nature of football. There's going to be plays that we could have made that we did get off, and there's going to be plays that we didn't get off that, could have been.
All right, finally, what do you feel about this team already being in the playoffs, man? If I would have told you before the year we'd be sitting here in Week 17, the game's meaningless for you guys because you're already in. Just talk about what it means. You've had a long career in New York. You haven't, frankly, won a ton of games the last 4 years. You have this year.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I'll say just for me personally, it's, surreal. It's like a movie almost, It's like, you watch a movie and the whole time the hero is getting beat up and drugged through the mud and all this stuff, and in the end he comes out on top. And not that this is the end, but, to some degree it feels that way. First 3 years, was tough. Not a lot of team success, not a ton of wins. But come out here, have a winning season, and make the playoffs, is awesome.
Let me do one more before we say goodbye real quick. What makes Mike Groh a good wide receiver coach? Because I can't imagine anyone's had a tougher job than him this year with so many different faces that have been in that room. How has he gotten everybody ready? How does that room work, and just why has it been successful with him as the position coach?
I don't know how he do it. It's been so many people, so many personalities, so many scenarios. But I'll say, he just stays steady. He stays the same no matter who is in or out. No matter if we signed a new guy, if maybe we let go of somebody. I think he does a good job of being the same and letting the room know what's going on. And being honest with guys. And I think that people respect that. People respect when you tell them the truth, when you don't try to hide things from them. And I probably say it's been the best thing he's done because it ain't easy dealing with new people every week, and he's trying to get people up to speed. And Isaiah, I think we signed Isaiah on like a Monday or something, and then he played like that Sunday. Even though he came from like knowing the system, as a receiver coach, you don't know. Even though he was in the system in Buffalo, you don't know how much he really knows or if he's going to be good. You just got to get him ready to play. So, I think he's done a good job of being ready.
Darius, appreciate the time, man. Best of luck on Sunday.
For sure. Thank you.
We thank Darius Slayton. We thank head coach Brian Daboll. We thank Landon Collins and, of course, Bob Papa for being with us right here on the Giants Huddle podcast. Giants getting ready to take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia this weekend. Again, the Giants are locked into their spot, so the win or loss really doesn't impact the Giants all that much, except for what their record would look like at the end of the year. A very important game for Philadelphia. They, of course, are trying to secure that number 1 seed, NFC East title, home field throughout, first round bye. If they lose, the Niners win, they get all that good stuff, minus the NFC East crown, of course. If the Niners and the Eagles lose and Dallas wins, then Dallas takes home that NFC East crown, the number 1 seed, home field advantage throughout, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot at stake this weekend for the Eagles, the Giants, and Giant fans, enjoy the ride and start getting ready for the playoffs, which, again, will likely be a matchup against the Minnesota Vikings unless David Blau and the Arizona Cardinals figure out a way to beat the 49ers this week, which, I don't know. I think it's unlikely. Thanks for being with us on the Giants Huddle podcast. Don't forget, check out the game this weekend and be with us all week next week for a lot of great content as the Giants are heading back to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. We'll talk to you then.